Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to the channel. If this is your first time, please have a delve, have a look to see what you think of the other videos if you have that inkling, and please subscribe if you like the videos. This is a book review of a book that is quite controversial. It's a video that I wasn't sure whether to make, and I had to get my head around the book and what I wanted to say about it, but it's quite a complex and controversial book. Anthony Burgess' The Wanting Seed, written in 1962. It's a dystopian book that definitely challenges the reader, definitely would have challenged the reader in 1962, but even now I think it's got lots of controversial elements to it. And the reason why I hesitated to do the video was that I was a little unsure about the tone of the book in the first half, and I needed to know more about Anthony Burgess's stance on homosexuality, really, because it's such a big part of the first half of the book. And the tone of the book, the third person narrator's tone, just made me wonder whether Anthony Burgess was saying it in a way that isn't the first thing you would think of for 2025. So what is it provocative and challenging for kind of progressive reasons, or is it actually a homophobic author being shocked and aggressively spelling out the outrage on the page for a society that is encouraging homosexuality? So I couldn't work it out from the text itself, because the language is outdated language, but then that's not anything to sort of draw conclusions from, I don't think, because it was, well, I say that if this was older that would be easier, but in the 60s language started to change anyway. So to be fair, because I knew it was the 60s, I did wonder about the language as well, but I also thought it's outdated, so it's written decades ago. You can't just draw it from that. So I was looking for evidence of what Anthony Burgess thought of, well, anything really, any kind of political stance that would help me with this book. I was looking for different interviews, and I watched quite a few interviews with him, and a lot of them were obviously interviews about Clockwork Orange, his most famous piece of work. But there are several interviews where they were just like different themes. And there was a very short clip I saw on homosexuality, which did clarify something for me. But let's get to the book. So it is a book of two halves, really, but it's a dystopian novel where he depicts this society that is basically trying to deal with the big problem in the book, which is overpopulation. So I really like that as a subject. I think it's a really interesting subject. And I only just a few months ago, I reread Make Room, Make Room. And there are elements of Make Room, Make Room, which was written just after this, that that you could say may have influenced Make Room, Make Room. But it's a very different book, and I think Make Room, Make Room is a great book. This, I'm not sure what to think of this book, but it's a very interesting book, which is why I thought it was worth doing the video for it. And he's obviously a very important writer because of Clockwork Orange, which again I have videoed on the channel already as well. So I'll explain the plot, because I think that's probably a better place to start. Beatrice and Tristram are the two main characters. Tristram, I think, is Anthony Burgess putting himself into the middle of this. I think they both live in a skyscraper. They're both doing very well, and they, all the way through the book, they look around in dismay at what they see around them in this society that's got all these different rules that are dealing with overpopulation. He is a lecturer in history, and there are some parts of the book where he's doing that, and he's actually teaching, and it kind of reminds me of what I've seen of Anthony Burgess. And Beatrice is having an affair with Derek, his brother. But the book starts with them grieving the loss of their son. So they had a baby boy, and he died, and it starts off with her writing the death certificate in the Ministry of Infertility, and the baby gets taken to the Ministry of Agriculture to be turned into fertilizer for the crops that are failing quite often. So they've got an issue with overpopulation, but they've also got an issue with the crops failing a lot. So they've got food shortages. And what happens later on in the book is that Tristram discovers that cannibalism has become normal as well. So there's all sorts of things going on here. But Derek has been pretending to be gay. Tristram's brother, who's having the affair with Beatrice, he's been pretending to be gay because he knows that will advance him in society, because it's encouraged to the point where you are promoted and given better positions in society in your career if you are gay. So Tristram is annoyed about that and hates that and doesn't trust his brother, and all the way through it I think he's not sure that he is actually gay and maybe just pretending. But being gay in this book, especially in the first half, is a very stereotypical thing. So Anthony Burgess's portrayal of homosexuality is very, very one-dimensional. It's very archaic, and it could be quite offensive. So the archaic language is there, but also just the attitude to how he expects them to act. Gay men are mincing about. Literally, he says that at one point, and they're very effeminate. And there's a bit where he describes a lesbian couple as being a perfect combination, because one of them's like a flower and the other one's like a bullfrog. So you've got this sort of cliche with this stereotype lesbian couple as well. So that's the narrator's voice. So when I wasn't really sure whether he was just trying to be provocative or whether he thought there was an issue there, I did see a video where Anthony Burgess said that he thought homosexuality was unnatural. That is an element of the first half, especially. The second half is better anyway, because the second half kind of puts its focus on war and the army, and how the war is dealing with overpopulation, because the war is made up in this, just like it was in 1984, but it's a little bit more, is it more sinister? I don't know. It's a little bit more shocking in some ways, because they're just randomly slaughtered. And Tristram, later on in the book, he becomes a sergeant instructor, and then he gets transferred to the riflemen area, because he starts teaching them critical thinking and they don't like it. So he starts working with the riflemen, and then he gets taken to this unknown area where he's going to lead this battle with this unknown enemy that turned out to be a battalion of female English people, just random people that they're just and they all kill each other, and Tristram's the only one to survive. And it's just like a way of just getting rid of bodies. It's literally to cull the population. So that's quite a shocking part of the book. So yeah, it's got lots of ideas, but it's a very unpleasant read. As I said, the early part of the book has got very homophobic, caustic, kind of dismissive, devalued kind of language, which definitely makes the reading a different experience than someone just putting that across as a reaction to a dystopian world. So that's one part of it, but also all the way through it, there's this sort of weird nastiness that I thought you could feel through the whole book. So it's quite an unpleasant read, and I didn't really think it was particularly well written either, and the characters just sort of move about quite randomly in some ways. Beatrice stays loyal to Derek, and she gets pregnant, and then she's not loyal to him as well afterwards. It's a little bit random in that sense, and it's more about building this world that he wants to say. But the wanting seed is like this idea that is unnatural, it seems, to make anyone restricted on how many children they have. And this is well before China brings out that law in 1979 as well. So he is thinking ahead in that sense. But the book is trying to say it's all very unnatural to do that, and to encourage abortion and to encourage homosexuality. And the other bits at the end of the book seem to be less of a big point he's trying to make, I think. So yeah, it's an odd book, not very nice to read, which is fine if it's a dystopian. I mean, 1984 is not particularly nice to read, but I think 1984 is leagues ahead of this. There's a reason why this isn't a classic. But yeah, it was a difficult one. It's a difficult one to review, and I didn't give it any rating because I still can't decide what I think of it. So yeah, The Wanting Seed, Anthony Burgess. Stay curious, everybody.